Bonjour et bienvenue à tous, this is Mac Plays on Mac and welcome into episode 7 of Mac Island. In the previous episode, we worked on building the perfect university campus. Unfortunately, the location chosen for this build was on top of previous industrial ground and it was very hard to grow residential area because of that. Part of that build was also oriented toward building some sports center for that university. To help to curb the demand in new housing, we also built a few new neighborhoods, part of that university complex first, and also we went across the road and developed a whole new neighborhood. This one will be more towards the mid-size and medium density. Now today's episode is more gonna be about transportation and park. So we are gonna rework on our bus network and include these new neighborhoods that we built to make sure that they are well deserved into our buses system. And on top of this, we are gonna add a whole new transportation system, the tram. Indeed, we are gonna construct two brand new lines that are gonna follow our two main axes. And finally, among other things, we're gonna work on adding new parks to the city, but also adding details to the rest of the build. Alright, let's jump in it! As we mentioned in the previous episode, winter is already back. It's so surprising how long winter is on this map. The first thing we're gonna do is build a park by our train station. We always had a bunch of trees over there, but now let's formalize it by actually building a park. We're gonna add some path to make a connection on the other side of the train station as well, and add a bunch of trees. It's amazing how mod can help you to just personalize your build so much more. Like you can just customize everything, build path everywhere. It makes like the assets, which are not very numerous, much more usable and makes them like blend together much better. I hope you like the view of that beautiful brand new swimming pool complex in the middle of winter. Now it's been a while since we looked at our bus transportation, so before we are building that new line, I wanted to make sure that our bus system is already being efficient. After a close examination, I can tell that two of our bus lines are passing people on certain stops, so we're adding a bit of capacity in these two lines. Now the goal is to connect the campus with the bus station. So let's assess what will be the best road, so we make sure we don't take a road that's already used by some different buses, and we also need to make sure that we connect it with the sports center as well as the main university building and the new residential area that we built. And while we add it, we're also gonna add some bus stop next to the elementary schools. Always make sure to put the bus stop on both sides of the road as well. Now let's connect all of the dots and see how crazy is that route that we are building. So I already see that there is some very odd path that it's taking, and I'm assuming it's because of the way I have my one ways, no turns and stuff like this. So to avoid this kind of weird path, we're gonna add a couple roundabouts and make sure that the bus can turn around over there instead of having to go all the way down to the end of the street. And here, unfortunately, because of my pedestrian area, they cannot drive on it, so they have to drive through the parking lot. I hope a mod in the future will help to remedy that problem. One thing that I forgot to do but got reminded by you guys, thank you so much for the tip, is to plant trees all along the railroad. It will help to shield the noise from the train and also make it prettier to look. And while we're at it, we're also gonna add some touch-up and detailing around the college. Even if I first reserved all of this space to build a park, now actually see that we are starting to run out of space, so I'm thinking we can do a better use of this area by adding more single row housing and have a park around it. I'm gonna try to refit these two parks we've moved in the same area. Now let's see how many housing we can fit into this small piece. As you can see, controlling the zoning is still a bit of a struggle. And we got a total of 44 houses. I think the goal has been achieved. Now let's see if we can fit these two parks, and yes we can. With cheating and the help of anarchy, we made it. Let's add a bit more trees everywhere to make it more finished and polished. To help the expansion of our industry area and also recover from all of the zoning we lost in the previous episode, we're gonna add more towards the end of the island, just like this. We're gonna try to make smaller zoning area and try to maximize the amount of space we have, because the more I build and the more I figure that we are literally running out of space. It's very important to make sure that our angles are perfect and I don't lose any tiles. As we created room for new industries area on the west of the city, now we can expand our offices, which are in big demand, and also our commercial area just in a few seconds. I also wanted to add a little new details, a retro touch into that new place we built during the past episode, and we're gonna extend its terrace so it blends with the residence building right next to it, and we're also gonna add some tree. After enjoying the amazing graphics of our train just flying by, now we're gonna add a bit more building and filling all of the gaps that we left before, including right there. I just need to make sure that if I change my mind I can still build this extension. Perfect. At worst we'll just lose the building. And here I can see that I totally have room to add a couple more rows of single row housing. Again, let's try to maximize the area we have. Running out of space pretty much everywhere, I'm kinda losing my patience on this area over there and decided to rezone it with, for now at least, some commercial areas. I really hope when the paradox mode come to live next week that we're gonna be able in Araki to have a no collision mode just like in City Skyline 1. a small plot of land, a bit of terraforming, and here we go, we can place 10 new little offices, just like this. Alright, now it is time to start that tram project. So the tram depot being a huge building, I decided to, like the train depot, build it outside of the island. So since it needs a very close connection, I decided to go as close as possible from the bridge and build a roundabout, so it's going to be a seamless transition from the highway to the downtown. So let's curve a road over there, and also let's make sure that all of the terrain is pretty much flat, because that's a big building again, and we don't want the terrain to be terraformed once we plow the building. We want to make sure that it's gonna fit it. And of course, I totally forgot to unlock that building. So on top of this, we are also going to take a look at everything else we need to unlock, and I'm thinking that underground parking will be very useful in the future. Even though this building has already some parking lot, I feel like such a big building will need more, so we're gonna add 2 medium parking. I think that's what fits best right next to it. And again, medium parking are very modulable and perfect to add together. Now we need to make sure that building is connected to our water system. So we're just gonna have to go underneath the bridge like this. Electricity is actually fine. Let's take a quick look at where our pathway is gonna be. So we need to make sure that we're gonna upgrade these roads, just like this. The line being pretty short, I decided to have the stop very close from each other, just every block or every other block. And I always make sure to have them on both sides, apart from this one where it's gonna go north to south. I'm actually gonna have them literally each other block on the opposite side each way. And the reason behind that decision is just because these are just very close from each other, because the grid being so short on that side. So I'm having an issue. Apparently my tram cannot go backward for whatever reason. I don't remember having that issue when I first used the game a few months ago, but right now I'm just gonna create some different loop to make sure that the tram can go back around. So this is hopefully something that I'm gonna be able to figure out in the future, but as of now, that's what we're gonna go for. It's not very good, it takes more time and more room. And I forgot to mention, it also can look very ugly and not very realistic. So right here you can see me do a very nice bend. Unfortunately, because I use Anarchy, it doesn't really work with the roundabout, so I'm having to do something a bit more different, but it does not look good. Here for this one I decided just to go reuse the Overhaul. Again, I really hope in the future I'm gonna be able to find what was the issue behind that problem. Let's connect all of the dots. Now let's adjust our vehicle count and our fare, and let's enjoy the first ride. So much parking is wasted because of this kind of giant lot. So we are going to build 2 parkings that are underground. So they are smaller by themselves, only 200, but the 2 is going to make it a 400 capacity compared to the 300 and change for the other one. And that's the end for today's episode. Again, thank you so much everybody who made it to the end. I really appreciate you watching all the way through. Now let's recap everything we achieved today. No, you're not crazy. You just saw twice the same exit of the city when it was zooming out. I just wanted to see if any of you could see the difference between actually the medium graphics and the high graphics setup. I'm so excited to finally gonna be able to play with Paradox mod. It's gonna be released in a couple days from now, so unfortunately you're still gonna have a whole full week to wait for it, but let's see what we can build with all of these new possibilities. In the meantime, je vous dis au revoir, je vous remercie pour tout votre soutien et à bientôt, à la semaine prochaine. Thank you so much everyone, I'll see you next week. This is Mac Plays on Mac et à bientôt.